time.
Okay,
So,
we are recording. So, welcome everybody to week 3. And it is very hard for me to believe we're already in week 3, but we are. And so, you can see the agenda for my class. I just got that posted before I came online. So, you can pull it up now if you want to follow along as we follow along. Um, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and pull the agenda up.
Dr. Revis, let me tell my group. Don't forget now at the very end, Dr. Stone is going to join in. He's going to join us about 7 o'clock and see where we are, and then he'll make a statement and he'll tell you what to do so you can sign off, and then you can sign back in. And he won't be with you very long. I'm going to join you as well. Dr. Revis is going to process our video and do all of that tonight, so I can join you whenever you meet with Dr. Stone. So don't forget that, and we'll announce it again at the end of the class.
So here are our class norms, guys, and everybody so far has been so respectful with the class norms. I do know that we have one person driving right now, and we've asked her to go ahead and block her view. But anyway, I really appreciate the way you have come to class and come to class ready to go, ready to learn, and ready to be engaged professionally with us. So, with that said, the first thing that we're going to do is a discussion for chapter 1 in your textbook. So, that was your reading assignment for last week. So, I want to give you, I'm going to put a timer on my phone. I want to give you about 45 seconds to very silently think about what was your one big takeaway from chapter 1. Okay, and get ready and go.
Dr. Revis, there's a post-it in the chat box, right?
Yes, I'm going to tell them in just a second.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I got ahead of you.
Okay, time is up. Now I would like for you to open the chat box, and I would like for each of you to post your one big takeaway from chapter 1. Okay, we have a lot of people talking about how video can be a
Mhm.
powerful tool, and you are correct, it can be, but boy, are we hesitant to do that. We sure are. I like the
Mhm.
quote that B. Simmons, data is often a catalyst for change. I had a superintendent that I worked with for about 5 years, 6 years. And he came into our school district and was just a phenomenal instrument of change. His favorite saying was, "Nobody likes change but a wet baby."
That's
And
right.
now I'm going to tell you this. You people are okay with change because you wouldn't be where you're sitting right now if you weren't okay with change. But not everybody's like that. And we have to remember that.
And Dr. Revis, one of the things that talking about change is that when you become, I mean, just go back and put yourself in the place of a classroom teacher. Just think now as a teacher, and just think about when new initiatives came on board, how reluctant you were, and the conversation amongst teachers was that, you know, we'll never be able to do this, or how difficult it was, or getting out of the routine that you had been in for the last 3 or 4 years with whatever curriculum you were using, versus the new curriculum. Every one of us have been there. Every one of us have. Um, but going into the role of an administrator, just remember you are the teacher of teachers. So remember, your role is to go in such a way that, it's got to be done, but how you perceive it, how you go forth with is going to carry a lot of weight with how your teachers and your staff embrace the changes that need to be made. If you go in, roll your sleeves up and you take responsibility for the leadership of it, I promise you, it doesn't take a long time for your teachers to come on board. And you that have been with more than one principal, you know what I'm talking about. Some principals, the way it's presented comes across kind of negatively. But then you've had those that, they come in and they take ownership of the change and they work with you through the change. So, that's the takeaway I want you to take from me, is that as you are dealing with change, embrace it and support the teachers that you are entrusted with, through the change process. And I guarantee you, most of them will get on board and they'll hurt themselves almost because you've done it to help the leader of the school.
And I want to draw attention to Katie's um, comment. Katie, I hope you're okay with that. We are knee deep in data as an admin team, especially with our school grades and report card. Well, you don't have a report card, but you got your school performance coming out yesterday in North Carolina. How do you know you're a good, effective teacher? Well, it's not just a feeling, it's in the data. To me, that's what chapter one is really about, the buy-in for being data driven. As you were working on assignment one, I can't remember who it was. You had so much data. They went into M class and BOY, EO. I mean, it was unbelievable the amount of data that this person gathered. And, my challenge to that person is going to be, how do you narrow down what is useful in
Mhm.
your data? But now that our North Carolina state report cards have been released, if you're in North Carolina, I don't know when South Carolina is due to be released. If you know, please raise your hand and let us know. But you need to go back in and fill in your figures for 25 data. Um, and I'm
Dr.
just,
Revis.
yes.
Okay, go ahead. When you get through, I saw another one I want to point out before
Okay,
we
you
move.
go ahead. You go ahead.
Christy Funderburk in my group. I like what you said, Christy. She said, I understand the usefulness of videoing, but I personally am not a fan. That is something that I would have to work on. I appreciate your transparency with that, Christy. There's going to be lots of things as the leader that you probably, and I don't know that, sometimes I understand what you're saying. I don't know that you're not a fan as much as we're not in our comfort zones because teachers are not in their comfort zones with it. So, there's going to be things other than this that as a leader that you're going to go into it may not be your forte. It may not be what you like the best, but it's essential for the growth. So as a leader, you have to embrace things sometimes that you really don't like or you may not be comfortable with, you know, moving forth. Dr. Revis, we've had to do it many, many times over the course of our
Oh yes, it is.
work.
Yeah, we're in the throes of change this semester with dealing with the new NCPPA assessment portfolio for you guys. But you got to embrace it and you can't sit on it. I like Hannah's comment. It's crucial as administrators to create a culture of trust. And I know the text had five things that needed to happen in order for you as a person, as a leader, to create that culture of trust. And guys, if people don't trust you, they're not going to follow you. You'll be talking to the wind. So you've got to be true. You've got to be genuine. You've got to be reliable. Do what you say you're going to do. You've got to have that strong character. And, all, all of us can have strong character when the decisions are easy. It's when those hard decisions come out that our true character shows. And, that you're competent. If you don't look at data and if you don't video your own self for your personal growth, for example, in a faculty meeting, then they're not going to latch on to it as well.
Mhm. That's right. Just remember, you're not a leader. You're never going to be a leader if you don't have followers.
Exactly.
You know what you're on? You're going on a journey all by yourself. So you're not a leader if you don't have the followers.
And Christy from your class said that SC Ready scores were released yesterday as well, and she
They
has
were
been
I,
lead.
I saw some today for the public schools where I work.
Yeah.
Somebody you know had found some information and printed it off for me.
And finally, I want to share my takeaway, a big takeaway. I think it's beginning principles. One of the things that we have to remember, we're gung ho, we're ready to go. But sometimes you have to go slow to go fast. Kind of goes back to what Dr. Stedman was saying. You can lead all you want to. You're not really leading unless those people are following you. And people can only go so fast. It's making those small steps and small changes. As a new principal, the first thing you've got to do is create that culture of trust that they trust you. And you may have to spend weeks doing that, even 6 months. But you've got to go slow. You've got to bring people with you. Adults in the building that you're working with are just like students in the classroom. They're at all different readiness levels, and you just have to remember that. Dealing with adults is just like dealing with kids in big
Uh-huh.
bodies. It is. And those of you who are now in those leadership roles, you know that, don't you? Give me a thumbs up. It is.
Mhm.
And if their people are at different places, you support them differently. And your approach can't be one size fits all, even with your staff. So, anyway, thanks for
And
the
Dr.
chat.
Revis,
Yes.
one thing, one of the biggest challenges that has faced all public schools, charter public schools, or just regular public schools, this year has having to start the school with Infinite Campus. That has been one of the biggest, and it still is a big challenge. They are still. I had DPI down at my charter school yesterday, working with my staff. There from the charter school in, from the charter office in Raleigh. They came yesterday and worked with us, and they're coming back. But that has been a major learning curve because it affects the teachers. And before it can really affect the teachers, somebody above them's got to know what they're doing. It impacts child nutrition. It impacts testing, the testing coordinators at your school. So, the principals, assistant principal, it's a domino effect really on it. So that has been and continues to be a major challenge that we've had to embrace.
Agree. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for reading the chapter. This week, there are 3 chapters that we ask you to read. We'll talk about that later on. And just be prepared. Out of each chapter, what is one big takeaway? If you can get one thing per chapter, you're going to learn a lot. So thank you. And Dr. Stedman, we are ready to talk about clinical internship.
And we're not going to camp out there a lot. At this point, Dr. Revis's students, you should have had your CC1 visits or finishing up them, Dr. Revis's class. That has not been the case with my class, but that has been somewhat resolved, and it will be finished. It will be resolved this week, and that's the purpose of Dr. Stone meeting with you after class tonight to further explain, what's being done there. I apologize. Things happen sometime, and you're going to find that as an administrator. Things happen. You have to just deal with it. You can't camp out there. You have to straighten up and say, well, what am I going to do next? And that's what we've had to do. We've had to take a situation that occurred, and we've had to make a decision how we're going to handle it for you guys. So we're going to make it happen. We are making it happen for you. So those that have met, their principals have met, it should be pretty clear with your principal now. It's established that you're going to do your internship there. We went over last week, and the others, Dr. Stone will conclude with that this week. And if any of my class, if any of you have a problem after that, reach out to me. I can talk to your principals as well. If it comes to that, to help Dr. Stone out if I need to at any point. So just reach out to me with that so that we don't have anything that is standing in your way of moving forward. But you were given all the resources that you needed last week to be able to move forward with your internship. We told you that by the end of week 7, that you had to have completed 100 of your 200 required hours for this semester, and we broke it down and told you specifically how they needed to look, and that information is in your Blackboard shell. Without taking a lot of time, is there anything about the internship at this point that is not clear for you? Is everybody good? Okay, Kara?
Ryan has.
Carrie, do you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. Let me go back to where I had it. The 100 hours that we're doing on our portfolio, it says we're supposed to log those. Have we been given information on exactly how and where we're logging those?
Okay, all of that is, if you go back and look in your Blackboard shell, and I don't know if we pointed that out in last week's class, but I know you were not here last week. So go back and look in there. We actually showed you where that information was. But in your Blackboard shell, it's got a clinical internship resources. And when you click
Yeah.
on that, it has what you need in there.
But if I could add,
So, sorry, go on. Go
if
on.
I could just add to that, on your log, when you're clocking in the work you're doing for our class, don't just say worked on assignment one. You need to say what you've done for assignment one. For example, research latest testing data um, with my instructional coach. You need to tell what you've done specifically. Okay.
Right. So what I'm at, I guess need clarification on because I watched the video from last week. I looked at the internship log and the examples. The 100 hours that we're doing on our, what's the abbreviation that the portfolio, am I logging that on the same form that I'm logging the other
Yes,
100 hours?
yes.
Okay. And so if it's anything with the portfolio, I should specify that it is part of the portfolio.
Uh, yeah, I would make that clear because 50 of those hours, 100 hours will be with the portfolio at the end of the semester. So yes, they would need to be differentiated on that form. Yes.
So because it says there's T, L, and S. So am I using one of those letters or am I using a different letter?
You still use those letters, but in your narrative work, you let us know that that this is work for your portfolio work. That's all you've got to do. And when we read it, we'll know the difference.
Or you can say
Okay.
just you can say what you've done and put assignment one. That way we
Right,
will know.
right. Assignment one or assignment two.
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll
that would
know.
work too. Anything that would let us know that this is a part of the portfolio work, and
Okay.
we'll know that. Okay.
Was
Any
there
more?
a limit to how many hours, like the each chunk, or just like how many hours we were allowed to mark for like component one, assignment two, or do we just kind of divvy it up?
Dr. Revis.
I think we're just going to let you divvy it up.
Right.
Okay.
You don't want to spend 10 hours on data collection, but quite reasonably, you may spend a couple hours on data collection. You may spend a couple hours on data analysis and data synthesis, as you should. And that's a major thing that
Right.
we want you to gain from this course.
And there should be diversity in when we look at it, like she said, all the hours shouldn't be concentrated in one top heavy in one area. There should be diversity, throughout the overall 100 hours for the entire semester.
And remember, we always want to get you in the leadership category.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Good questions.
Okay. Anything else before we move on? Okay, Dr. Revis, I think the next thing is we're going to just do some APA reminders.
Sure. After we looked at your papers, your work from assignment one, Dr. Stedman and I decided that we needed to focus on some things that we saw common errors, if you will. So can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Dr. Revis, before you get started, would you just remind everybody, what we said about the figures last week? So, because I want to make sure that everybody knows again, because there were some issues about that in several cases.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think I shared with you that for this program, we call everything figures. And I don't like that because I work in the doctoral program. It's very confusing to me. But we call everything figures and we format everything just like a figure. It's really helpful for us because you format a figure different from a table. And so we don't have to worry about that. You learn the formatting for a figure. And I know in my helpful hints, I even referred to a figure as a table. So I apologize for that. So those of you who are really making sure that you're following APA, we know that's not right. But we ask you to stretch out of your comfort zone and do this one thing a little bit differently.
Okay.
Okay, so
Thank
here
you,
are some
Dr. Rivers.
APA common errors that we found, and we're going to do an error analysis. Okay, so I want you to read this, and once you read it, I'm going to give you just a second or two to start picking out errors. There are several here. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm going to share with you what should be. First of all, we have an end quote here, but no beginning quote. So make sure that if you have a quote that you've got beginning and ending quotes. Professional learning community should just be lowercase because it's not a proper noun. Um, and then the next thing is down here, this period. Remember, it always goes after, only after the citation. Your your quotation marks ends there, and but your period goes here. And then remember that we don't use first names. So that's what's wrong with this one.
What and page 24 for the quote.
Yes, thank you. You have to have a page with a quote. Thank you, Dr. Stedman. Okay, let's look at this one. Again, because we're watching our time a little bit, I'm not gonna ask you to put anything in the chat box, but you've not really used this at all a lot. You will a couple assignments later. This means it's Latin for and others, but you have a period. You don't have a period after et. It comes after the all. And that's just a little quirky thing. And you don't put a comma after the first author. Capitalization. You know what? We like to capitalize everything. Principal's not capitalized. Assistant principal's not capitalized, even though you think it's important. Department chair, school improvement team chair, math teacher. But if I use the specific name of a course, then that would be capitalized. Okay, let's do an error analysis on this. Of course, very quickly you can see this person thinks everything that she does is important because she's capitalized all those headings and all of those names, and none of them should be. All right. Then we had some issues. You had to do a lot of technical writing. And I want to say my hat is off to you because, at least for my students, you guys did a great job. A great
Absolutely.
job with this technical writing. Now, we get it. I'm going to talk to you about assignment one in a minute, but you avoid beginning a sentence with a numeral or percent. But if you have to, you never put the numbers there. You always write it in words.
And you
Sometimes you
avoid
just
that,
have
you
to.
avoid that if you can.
Yes. And sometimes you just have to because you'd have to go around the world to get to say what you need to say. But Same thing with percentage. If you have to start it with a percent, then that's how you would do it. If I use the percentage sign, I only use it when I have a numeral. If you're writing it out, you use the word percent. And that's what this one says. All right. Here's one let's look at, an error analysis. We've got a percentage in there. What's wrong with that? Well, if it were at the beginning of the sentence, that's how you would do it. But since it's not, and it's a number higher than 9, you would put the numerals and use the percent sign. We haven't really had a lot of references. You will. The biggest thing I want to say on references, some of you did not double space. Now, this one's double space, but it's still wrong because you got to have the hanging indent, number 1, and number 2, the title of your work is not all capitalized. You only capitalize the first word to begin the title, or if you have a colon or semicolon, or if it's a proper noun. Everything else is lowercase. And of course, then the title of the publication is capitalized. I did have to have several of you go back and do that. And one more thing, references, your reference page begins, it's centered and it should be bolded here. I forgot to do that. Okay, any questions on that? All right, great job.
Dr. Revis, one thing, numbers, writing numbers, 1 to 9, and then you spell them out. 1 to 9, you spell it out. ONETWO, and then 10 and above, you write the number.
And the way I remember this, and guys, a lot of APAs just, it's about patterns. The way I remember this is two-digit numbers are always just written as numerals.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Dr.
Talk
Revis,
about
let's talk
assignment
about,
1.
yeah, let's talk about that. First of all, Dr. Revis has already alluded to it. Overall, I was highly pleased with the work that came in for assignment 1. There were, there were common errors, and we've addressed those. Most of the errors were not in the work you had done as far as gathering the data. You had done most of you had done an excellent job, gathering the data. It was pretty comprehensive. Some of it was very comprehensive. There were just a handful that I'd like, and I indicated like for you to go back and you need to consider some more in order to make the best decision possible, with assignment 2. But the biggest problem was just learning how to write APA with APA and getting comfortable with that. But overall, I was highly pleased with the work. Some of them, they had very little to do to edit to turn it around to me. So that needs to come back, corrected with the APA or whatever the other issues were. That needs to come back to us as soon as possible so your focus can be completely on moving forward with assignment 2. But Dr. Revis, I just want to say, very, very pleased with it. We did point out that, that there are some things that you need to remember that's listed under here. And then Dr. Revis will talk specifically about her class. Devices, we did not mention this, I don't think initially, but do not use a MacBook or a tablet to complete your work. HP is highly recommended. If you do it on MacBook, when you transfer it to Blackboard, it messes up. And we had forgotten to say about that. I had one student that was impacted by that. We figured it out, and they were able to go back and resubmit it, and it worked when we realized that it was on a MacBook. So do not use a MacBook or a tablet for completing your assignment. And we made an agreement that we want, all your work needs to be downloaded so that we can open it up as a Word document. And I'm going to tell you why. We can edit on the other ways that you do it, but the Word documents allow to be much freer with our side comments and things, and it's just easier to work with, especially when we're working with so many back to back when the work's coming in. So make sure that your work comes to us as a Word document. Assignment deadlines are deadlines. It's your responsibility to make sure that it's in on time and that it's as accomplished as you can make it. Once that time gets here, it's automatically in Gardner-Webb's system. It turns it into a 0 and it's a late assignment. So get it to us on time, and just remember that your assignments, we want you here present on Wednesday night, because I think that's a best practice for you. But if you do not complete your assignments in a timely manner, that automatically means an absence for that week. It goes in for Gardner-Webb's purposes as an absence, because your attendance is based on completing the major assignments that you have to complete. So just make sure that the first week we'll tap you on the hand a little bit and say, don't do this again, but don't do it again. Okay, let's make it a habit to make sure that things are in on schedule. Dr. Revis, your class.
Well, in my class, a lot of you in task one, or excuse me, I keep saying task one. That was our old way of saying. In assignment one, a lot of you went beyond just data collection and you got into data analysis. I didn't say anything about it. I just
didn't
left
either.
you alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why I did. Number one, because I had a little analysis in that helpful hints document. I realized that. It's hard to present data without starting the analysis. So I didn't say anything about it. But when you're working on assignment two, you're going to have to pull that data analysis over to assignment two, or you're not going to have anything new to write about. And that is okay. You can, as far as I'm concerned, you can leave it in assignment one, but you don't have to remove it, but you definitely need to copy it and paste it over into assignment two. In fact, Dr. Stedman, just to be very transparent, Dr. Stedman and I have already talked. What we should have done is put assignment one and two together and given you 3 weeks. And that way your collection and your analysis and your synthesis part is done in one large assignment. But teaching online, sometimes it's a little scary for me at least to let you go 3 weeks without getting some work from you. So anyway, does everybody in my class understand what I'm saying?
And mine too, because I had the same issue, and I may have made a comment about this. You've gone a little bit too far here, but I didn't take it out or anything like that. But the same thing as Dr. Revis said, use it to help you with your work in assignment two if you did that.
Now, another thing that we as educators love to do, we like to start hypothesizing about why the test scores are the way they are. Doesn't matter. Don't put that in your assignment. And then we start wanting to find solutions. We're not there yet. We don't want to talk about anything about solutions yet. Okay? So let's talk a little bit, excuse me, a little bit about you turn your work in on Sunday night by 6 o'clock, you have 100 points that you can earn. And we give you feedback. And let's say that you make a score of 80, that, you were off in your content somehow, or you needed to fix some things in content, or it could be your writing. Your writing is, for the most part, very strong. I will say that, outside of some APA issues. But um, I tell you to revise and resubmit. You have until Thursday, for me, Thursday at 6. If
Mine
you,
too.
yeah, Thursday
Mine
at
too.
6, you can revise that paper, put it back in the same Dropbox, and you can recover some, if not all of that 100. Okay?
Right.
Now, if you have to revise it a third time, you can't recover all the way to 100. But we want to get you to a certain level so your evaluators and task stream will score you as proficient at least. And so you have some good work products, solid work products in which you can pull for your portfolio.
And Dr. Revis, they may not get on this first assignment when they submit it because it's a learning curve. They may not get 100 the first time, but you should learn from what we've done, and it should be much easier to make 100 when you get to assignment 2. Okay. Um,
All right, enough about that. Let's go on and talk about week 3. Dr. Steven, I need to take a break. Can you help me with assignment 3?
I will. Okay. Um,
Or assignment 2, excuse me.
assignment 2, yes. Okay, and it goes basically back to what Dr. Revis has already alluded to. Some of you had already started, when you collected your data, you had begun analyzing the data. That is the purpose of assignment 2. So if you did, go back and pull from that. But what we're looking at is your data analysis, all the stuff that you collected for assignment 1. Now they're kind of like the puzzle pieces. They're all out on the table, and you're gonna look at all the puzzle pieces, and you're gonna, or maybe that's not the best analogy, but all the data that you've collected, you're gonna look at it, and you're gonna start weeding out some of it. You're gonna say, when you look at this, you can say, I really don't need this for what I'm doing now. This is strong data right here. So you start weeding it out. You have a rhyme and reason why you're doing what you're doing. But your job is to take all this data, and you've got to decide, based on the data that you've given, you've got to determine, from this, you've got to determine a priority need. Now, the priority need is going to be something that is that's measured with a test, like your end of grade testing and of course testing, that, for example. But it's got to be your priority need is going to be something that is going to be measured with a test. And you may have determined that that it's math 1 in your high school. Math 1 scores are horrible, or they are that is what you feel like based on the data. That's what you feel like everything is showing that this is where the weakness is. That if we would concentrate on math 1, then we possibly, and we maintain everything else we're doing, we possibly could raise the bar when it's test time again. So your focus, you're going to say, okay, my focus area is going to be math 1. Well, when you look at Math 1, then you've got to determine in Math 1 of all the students in your school that take Math 1, where is the weakest link with the populations of students that you're working with? So you're going to have a target student group. Now, that could be, I'll use me as an example. It could be all the old bald-headed white men, at your school that you feel like are, their scores just are not what they're supposed to be. So, and the data proves that. It shows that all the bald-headed white men at your school, that is where the weakest scores are, or the lowest scores are. So you determine that is going to be the student group that you work with, because if you concentrate on those bald-headed white men, that I might can get my scores up, by the end of when test time comes again. So that would become Math 1 would become your priority area, and then again, the bald-headed white men would be the student group that you would be working with. It could be in your EC population. If those students are EC students that have to take the test, it could be a student group from your EC population. It could be African American females. It could be any of those groups. But you're going to identify not what you think, but what the data shows you. And you're gonna have to talk about that. You're gonna talk about in that analysis. You're going to talk about your analysis. You're going to put it in narrative form, just like I would talk about it now. You're going to put that in narrative form, and you're going to tell how you analyze the data, what you're looking at, and then you're going to decide, what that priority need is. Again, we said math 1, and you're going to justify why that's your priority need, and then you're going to identify, after you further disaggregated or you broke the data down, you're going to find that identified group of students, and you're going to justify why you have identified that group of students as the students that are you're going to group under that priority need. Right, Revis? Okay, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I'm muting myself. So don't forget, again, you're going to put in 2025 data. Everybody has it now. And in assignment 2, and go back and do it in assignment 1 as well. And the reason we're making you do this is because when you get to December and you're putting together your portfolio scores are going to expect to see 2025 data. So when I did assignment 1 and you did assignment 1, you didn't have 2025. So you may have to tweak. Let's say, for example, all of a sudden in NC Math 1, our students just knocked the top off of it. And I don't need to really be looking there anymore. But I don't think that will be the case, particularly because that growth and that amount of movement is very difficult to get. But go ahead and fill in your data from your 2025, both there and in your student group data. Now, I did not put an analysis here. You've got to do that with your student group. And typically, guys, you know this. Your English language learners and your students with disabilities are always, always, always going to fall below. Only pick one of them. Okay? And if you want to collaborate with your principal about which one to pick, do so. But only pick one.
Right. And Dr. Revis, it is okay for them to go back and to include figures to help tell their story as well.
You
Am I right?
should. You should.
Absolutely.
Pull your
Uh,
figures, whatever you are pull your figures from assignment one over to assignment two. Do not recreate except put in your 25 data.
right.
All right, so the next thing you're going to do, a little bit more, is you have to get a meeting with your principal and you have to develop a slideshow. In that slideshow, you're going to have your figures. You're going to tell the story to your principal as to how you identified your target academic area and your target group of students. So you are meeting with the principal, you describe the meeting, you put your slide deck in your appendix as Appendix A entry, and then you make sure you get their buy-in on your identified academic area of need and that target group. And finally, now some of you we may get the question, do you need to record the meeting with the principal? No, you don't. You can, but you do not for purposes of our class or for your portfolio. You don't need to record that meeting.
Well, remember you're working with anonymity.
Right. And the final thing that goes in assignment two is your working hypothesis. You have to make a hypothesis that says if we will strengthen you make a hypothesis about strengthening instructional strategies in research-based best practices for improving the performance of students with disabilities. Our school, our students with disability test scores will increase and for the school as a whole. That's your hypothesis. Your portfolio requires you to formulate a hypothesis. I do not want to see what research-based best strategies. You're not there yet. We're going to do research on research-based best practices later on, but you're not there
Dr. Revis,
yet.
your hypotheses honestly should look just like what Dr. Revis is showing you, and you fill in the blank.
It can, or you can
Pretty
rework
much.
it.
Pretty much. I mean, you can
Yeah,
rework it, but I'm just saying that it would make it much easier if you did, because all you're doing is filling in two blanks.
yeah.
That's all you're doing.
So I'd always think you have to have a hypothesis. Why are you doing what you're doing? Well, if we look at instruction, and that's what this whole big semester is about, we're looking at data to drive instruction. And so if you're looking at instruction, we're not looking at attendance. Well, if they just come to school, well, that's a no duh, you're right. But when they come to school, we got to maximize that time. We got to be doing instructional practices that we know highly impact learning for children. All right, that is assignment two. Questions? Okay, okay, Christy.
Hey, shoot, I almost forgot my question. Oh, the appendix. Are we putting a picture of every slide in the appendix? And is there a certain size that it needs to be?
You can make them smaller. You can put like 6 per page. Okay, just so we can read them.
Right. Make sure that we can read them. Sometimes we've had to students have had to go back because we couldn't read what was on their slides, but make sure we can read the slides.
Let your slides tell your data story.
Right.
Leah?
Okay. With the slideshow for the principal, the meeting, I know the work is due Sunday, but if we can't do the meeting until like Monday, let's just say if the principal and me is out, or the meeting has to be done, the presentation, like I'm making my presentation that I want to present to her, but does that have to be
It should be, Leah. What are your thoughts on that? We had a short week this week. I know where you're
Yeah,
going with it. And
yeah,
for
Try,
we
try
and for the
yeah, try.
majority of you guys, this is the second week of school. So I
All
know
right.
principals are slammed. What do you think, Dr. Stedman, if they have their presentation and just like the meeting itself?
You will need to put a disclaimer in there. Try to have it done if you can, because you'll get it over with. But if for some reason you can't, put a disclaimer in there when you do the work, and you will have to make sure that it's done by Monday afternoon. Because if you don't, then we're running into week 4, because so by Monday afternoon,
yeah, we can probably
at
do
the
it.
latest.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
But
yeah.
that was a good question, Leah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's been Monday every day for me this week so far.
I know it's been a crazy week. Hannah, your question?
Hi, I just had a question about the presentation and the meeting with the principal. So if we've already met with our principal and showed them our slides, I don't have my 2025 data in there yet because it just came out yesterday for South Carolina. But is it okay that even though I've already met with her, if I go back and just edit the slides and put in that 2025 data and then like maybe reshare it with her so she sees it and then add that to my
I'm not going to answer your question. Okay. You
okay.
be sure that your principal agrees with your academic target area, okay, and with your target subgroup. And leave it at that, Hannah, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more hands?
Yeah, there was another one, Dr. Revis.
Okay,
Marita.
okay.
There were 2 more. Yeah.
Okay, so my question is for the appendix, I'm not putting my actual slide in it like a hyperlink. I just need the pictures of the slide.
That
Yeah.
is correct. That is
Right.
correct.
Okay, and one more thing. If my work needs to be updated, how will I know? Like my assignment that I turned in, my assignment 1. If I do do it over if I want a better grade, or will you guys have to tell me to fix it?
Yeah, I've already told you, you've got, if you haven't turned it back in, I gave you a review on Sunday night. So you need to go back in there and you'll see my attached review, and you have one opportunity to turn it back in for improvements. So go
Okay.
back in there, look for it. You'll always get between Sunday and Monday, you'll always, if you turn it in on Sunday, by Monday, you will have gotten the review back with comments and for me, for my class, an
Yes.
attachment.
And
Okay.
you should look in, is it My Grades? Where you look? What's the title of where you look at your grades?
Yes, I look at my grades. I saw the grade, but I didn't see anything else on it. I just saw the grade, how much I
Okay.
made.
Can we
Okay,
come
but
back to you and let Dr. Stedman look and
yeah,
we'll get back to
Okay.
you.
Marita, I'll get with you about that. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
Gwen, I think you're next.
Yes, for the principal, when we do that wrap up for that piece, is this supposed to be like a script or just a detailed summary of what happened?
Just a summary of what you did, what you presented, your discussion. You need to say the principal's on board. Just a summary of the presentation.
And you can actually say, if your principal makes comments, you can quote your principal.
Okay.
The principal said, blah, blah, blah,
And when we turn this assignment, is this a separate document or do we continuation of the first one since it's part of it?
A separate one. We'll have you put everything together before you go to task stream, okay? All right, and Amanda.
Yeah.
Hey there. 2 questions. One is about the task stream. We received a email getting in about that. Are we good to go ahead and accept and go into that? Is the first question.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you
and
for
did it
bringing
say,
that up.
Amanda, watermark? Talk about watermark?
I did not hit accept yet because I wanted to make sure that I needed to hit accept and go in after I got clarification from you guys.
Wait a
Dr.
minute,
Stedman,
Dr. Stone, are you
Stedman,
here?
yes, I am. And let me just add to that, Amanda, and to everyone in all classes.
Okay.
I'm a little surprised that you got yours this early, Amanda, because it's
Yeah.
supposed to go out tomorrow or Thursday or Friday. But by the end of this weekend, every one of you should have gotten an email from Watermark. And you need to check. It's going to be to your GWU address. It's not going to be to your personal. It's going to be to GWU. And you always need to check, if you haven't gotten something, check every day into your spam or your junk mail, because sometimes I don't know why, but sometimes Garner Web will send it there. But once you get that, Amanda and everyone, you have 48 hours to reply before that link is no longer any good. So go ahead, for all of you, as soon as you get that link, and always check in your spam or junk mail, go ahead and do it, because that is a time link. And by the time you get it, you only have 48 hours.
Okay, thank you. And the second question, as we're preparing our slide deck and our presentation to the principal, are we able to include that in the amount of time under leadership for our internship log?
You can count some of that. Yes, Amanda.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, Dr. Revis, you unmute yourself.
I think this is a great time for us to kind of draw closure since Dr. Stone is here.
Right. Dr. Revis, let me remind them, we did put in there just for you, and for those that may have time, we've gone ahead and looked ahead, and we've put week 4 in there. The helpful hints are already there. So, you may want to just glance at it so you know what your next steps are. And as you're completing this assignment 2, sometimes knowing what's next helps you better understand some of what you're doing. So I would glance at it, and then we'll go into detail with it next week, okay?
It is due September the 21st. So I definitely would recommend for you guys to go in and look at the assignment helpful hints. There's several things you have to do. This is where you're gathering other types of data, and look at the assignment 3 rubric. Okay.
So after you turn in your assignment 2 this week, there will not be another assignment that is due to us until 2 weeks later.
Okay.
So, you can't wait until 2 weeks later to start working on it, though. That's why it's in there. You need to plan accordingly, but we'll go into detail about that assignment next week. Okay. Is everybody good? Everybody give us a thumbs up if you're good. Okay. That is very good. Kara?
Just quick question. Did you say assignment 3 is in there, or we'll see assignment 3 next week?
Assignment 3 is in Blackboard already.
Yes. And it
Okay.
should be on your agenda
Under
as well.
Oh, it's not listed separately as its own yet.
Yes, it should be there.
Let me okay.
We'll check and
refresh.
make sure it's visible, but it is on your agenda.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Okay.
So is it time for my class to sign off, Dr. Stedman?
Well, let
Dr. Stone wanted
Oh,
to
I'm
speak
sorry.
first.
Yeah, I did, and I appreciated you giving this opportunity, because I'm going to meet with Dr. Stedman's class after this, and let me just open it up to anyone from Dr. Revis. If you have some more questions I know Dr. Anna Moriaglia did a great job explaining a lot of things to you, but if you want a refresher, I will tape it, and you're certainly welcome if you're in Dr. Revis's class to use that link. But Dr. Stedman's class, you absolutely need to be there as soon as this class is over. So I put in the chat the Zoom link. I think you've already got that in your Blackboard shell as well. Also, if you want to see the agenda that I'm going to be following, if you will look in your announcements, I think I just recently sent you an email, and that's pretty much the form that we're going to be talking about tonight. But again, I just want to remind everyone, be on the lookout for that thing from Watermark. If it's not already there, it will be there by the weekend, and it is critical that you respond to that within 48 hours because it's very hard to resend the link. Watermark TaskStream is not an easy company for us on our end to work with. It's pretty easy for you guys, but or fairly easy, but it's not for us, and they're not a very forgiving. So make sure you respond to that in 48 hours.
Okay, Kara, I just made module 4 visible to students. So it's there.
All right. I will.
Okay.
I'm going to zoom out, Dr. Stedman, and go to my other Zoom, and I'll look for your class in just a few minutes.
Okay, as soon as my class zooms out, zoom back in with Dr. Stone, and I'll be with you in just a minute. Okay?
Good night, guys.
Okay. Good night, Dr. Revis.
And you want me to convert the video, start that process?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Mhm.
good deal.
Okay.